Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm creating a Happy Meal card using Clearly Besotted. The stem set that I'm showing today is Shoot for the Stars and I just love this stem set. It's so adorable, it's amazing, super cute, and it's all I need. So for today's card I'm going to limit my scene to a strip on top of this A2 sized panel. And there I'm going to color everything, do some ink blending and having some white space all around. So I'm making sure that I am trying to keep that strip that I want in my head. I don't need to have all the images inside of the strip. Actually, I like the idea of having some of the images overhanging that specific strip that I will be ink blending on. So I'm stamping these out using Gina Design's Amalgam ink. And once these are stamped out, I am going to color them in. Well, what you just saw was a panel that moved, and so I just turned it around. This one is trimmed out with a paper trimmer, so I don't have stitching details or anything that is keeping me from preventing to turn my panel around if needed. So once those are stamped out, I'm also immediately going to create some masks. So therefore I have some full stick post-it notes, and I'm just going to stamp these images again and then fussy cut it out so that I have some masks later on. Now onto the coloring. This is Transotype Perfect coloring paper, sorry. And well, I'm starting with my darkest marker and I'm working my way towards my lightest. That's how I like coloring with Copic markers, so that's what I'm doing. If you prefer starting with your lightest, creating a base, or building from lightest to darkest, anything goes. As long as you're having fun and you like the end result, then everything is just fine. So the colors that I'm using are going to return. I'm going to give these critters another color, but the stars, the rays of, well, the glow behind the stars, they will all be the same, just to keep it a bit repetitive. Also to help me with my background, make it easier to create it, because I'm going to use some pinks and purples, and that will truly help me. So this RV combination, I have used it in the past. I love it. It's a really bright, but at the same time a really pure and strong color combination, and I love that about this one. Now I'm making sure to add some shadows, and if needed, which is the case between my RV34 and RV69, I just do a bit of tip to tip to make sure that I like the blending that I have. And then I decided to go in with the same color that I already used on my darker combination, but using some lighter markers together with it so that I could have a color family going on, but really enough of the how do you call it? Sometimes finding the words while doing the voiceovers are really tricky. This is not my native language, which you probably notice by my pronunciation, by the choice of words. But well, so I did the same on all of the other images that were with similar colors as I showed you before, and now I'm onto the critters. So this bunny is going to be really soft gray, and I want to have that yellow glow going on the face and the paw of this bunny, so I will just later on do that. I am adding my shadows where I think that if the light source is that star where the bunny is lying on, then I have my shadows above and behind the face, and well, that was sort of the idea behind it. Then I used my lightest yellow marker and just made sure to add it on the bunny as well. Now for the kitten, I'm going to go a bit darker with the combination, and I decided here to start with the yellow, just adding it already, and I can always go over it again if I lose it along the way. But if not, then I already have an idea where I want that glow to be, so that can also help me. That was sort of my thinking process. But I think this is the first time that I used this glow on top of my critters, so it was a challenge. It was exciting. As you can see here, in my opinion, you keep some sort of glowing effect, but it's less than what I have on the bunny. But again, you can go over it if you want to, if you want it to be stronger. You can also use some darker combinations if you want to. Anything is possible. And actually, that's already all of the coloring almost, just adding some pinks later on, and that's it. Like, that's how quickly it can go. I know I sped it up, but the images are limited and you don't need to think a lot about the coloring. Once you have an idea of some colors that you want to use, you can reuse it if you want to, like I prefer to do, and then it's actually really quick and easy. So I colored everything in, then it was time to cut out all of the masks, just using some scissors, and then I could add those masks on top of this panel and start on the strip of background that I wanted to create. So once all the masks were added, it was time to use some purple tape. There is not one card I think where I'm not using purple tape, so it's kind of funny. I am making sure that this panel is aligned straight on my grid mat, and then I can use the lines on my mat to help me get that purple tape straight. That's always handy. And then I'm just sort of figuring out how wide I want it to be, making sure that some of the images will go over the edges of the ink blended background that I have. So on this right side, I just thought that it was a bit too small. I don't know why, but I ended up placing the purple tape a bit more towards the left. And then it was time to take my distress inks and do some ink blending. So having chosen to use the stars as my light source and such, I decided to create a galaxy and having a glow around the stars. So therefore I'm using some distress inks. I'm using the scattered straw and squeezed lemonade to put all around the stars. Then I decided to use the picked raspberry and wilted violet because I have that purple pinkish color going on as Copic markers on my images, so that would go well. And then I'm also going to use some darker distress inks. Today I'm using chipped sapphire, blueprint sketch, and black soot. So as you see, I'm starting with my layer of yellow or the glow around it. I don't mind going over the lighter colors that I already blended later on. Personally, I find that you can really just go over those colors again and just have them come out of the darker colors. So I don't know if that's sort of clear what I'm trying to say here, but I'm not trying to avoid blending over lighter areas. I will just give it a smooth blend, and then if needed I go back in with my pinks, with my purples, with my yellows to really get that vibrancy again. So I'm going back and forth. As you can see, I'm using a smaller brush today because it's a smaller area where I'm ink blending, as well as just it's easier to go into the tinier spaces or just around it and not going too far with, for example, this yellow. And I just keep blending. I will keep blending until I'm happy with it. And then later on I will also add some splatters. Now, as you saw me using the full stick post-it notes as masks, normally I would say these can survive several masking periods. So normally, if I can, I keep the masks on the back of my stamp set. Now when I'm doing a galaxy background, those masks are filled with inks. Also, if I'm splattering, what I'm going to do later on, well, that doesn't help preserving the masks. So these I will not keep. But if you're just doing a really soft cloudy sky, for example, then probably you can keep these masks. That's why I love the full stick post-it notes, because they are really sticky and they keep sticking also a second time. So now on the edges, I'm also going to go with a bit of black soot that really helps with the depth of a galaxy. Just a tiny bit on the edges is already enough to have it pop more. And then I'm blending it out with the blues again. And as you can see here, just going over those yellows really help. I always find it funny seeing that sped through. This is 4 times the speed that I am normally ink blending, but I wish I could ink blend this fast. But it's funny to see, I think. My hand is going crazy. So, I had a bit of ink going over my purple tape, but I fixed it with an eraser. I use several erasers when I have this. I have scent eraser. I also have like the glue eraser, and there is another name for it, but you know what I mean. So just whatever works. Sometimes I'm using 5 different erasers to help me. I don't want to damage the paper, so I try it with everything. So here I'm splattering some Newton white gouache, a Winsor & Newton. This is an amazing gouache, but if you're having your white splatters that get diluted and too much, then probably chances are high that you will see the ink coming through. Just start with an itty bitty amount of water and add more later on if you cannot splatter with it. The thicker your gouache, the higher the chance that you really will have that white splatter that you want. So I'm slowly removing the purple tape. I don't want to rip anything. And then I'm going to remove the masks as well. So if it's sticky enough, you can definitely add it to the back of your stamp set and just reuse it next time. But as I said, doing a galaxy, it's quite soaked with inks, so I most of the time cannot reuse those ones. And that is my scene. I love it when the mask is revealed, well, when I remove the masks and the images are revealed and it works. So I'm really happy with this background and how it's matching with the colored images. I'm going to stamp the sentiment on the side. There is that lovely white space for it, so why not? Doing that several times. I don't prep my stamps ahead of time, so this was the first time that I used this stamp set. Well, not the stamp set, but the sentiment. So that's why I needed to do it a few times. Then I'm adding this panel on top of my card base. And I'm going to finish it off by adding some glossy accents. You can add many more if you want to. You can also add some star sequins. I think that would be lovely as well. But I love the stars that are just stamped out and colored in. So I'm keeping it like this, and I'm just adding that glossy accents on all of the stars to give it some more shine. I'm also going to add a bit of black using a black glaze pen on top of the eyes of the critters. This really helps the eyes stand out, although I don't use it all the time because, well, I sometimes cannot control the black glaze pen, and although I love it, I don't want to ruin my images afterwards by adding too much black and creating huge eyes. So that's why I don't use it every time I am creating a card, but I thought just here with that glow that we have on the critters, that the black glaze pen could really add something more. So I'm just really slowly doing that. I always have a little piece of paper to clean the pen and then go onto the eyes. And that's it. That is my card. I really like how it turned out and I hope you do too. I hope that you enjoyed this video, of course. If you have any questions, you can reach me by commenting down below. I will get back to you as soon as possible. I'm sorry if you have to wait a bit, but I will get back to you. I wish you all an amazing day and I hope to see you back soon when I'm back with some new crafty inspiration. Bye!